Yellowstone's Denim Richards talks Colby's Season 5 fate, how it will impact the Cowboys and Taylor Sheridan future. After carrying on the character for 5 seasons, Denim Richards is saying goodbye to Colby in Yellowstone Season 5 Part B. Richards began his career making guest appearances in everything from Disney Channel's Good Luck Charlie to MTV's Catfish. The show, though, would find his first big role with Freeform's Good Trouble, starring in 6 of the dramedy's 88 episodes. Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone would be his biggest role to date, starring in the neo-Western drama as Colby Mayfield, one of the cowboys working on the Dutton Ranch. Yellowstone Season 5 Part B's story has seen Colby and the other Dutton Ranch cowboys split up, with Rip and half of the others going down to Texas to watch over the cattle after the land became contaminated, while Colby and the rest stayed back in Montana to watch over the land. Following the shocking deaths of Kevin Costner's John Dutton IA and Dawn Oliveri's Sarah Richards' character joined the roster of surprise fatalities in Episode 12, Counting Coop being accidentally killed by a wild horse while trying to save Finn Little's Carter. Alongside Richards and Oliveri, the Yellowstone Season 5 Part B cast includes the returns of Wes Bentley as Jamie and Kelly Rayleigh as Beth, Luke Grimes, Kelsey as Bill, Cole Hauser, Brecken Merrill, Jefferson White, Gil Birmingham, Ryan Bingham, Wendy Moniz, and Forey J. Smith. Showcasing that the stakes of the world go beyond Jamie and Beth's war, the final season of Sheridan's hit show is proving more unpredictable than ever. Following the show's recent episode, Screen Rant interviewed Denim Richards to discuss Yellowstone Season 5 Part B, how he feels about saying goodbye to the neo-Western drama, filming Colby's death scene, how it will impact the Cowboys in the final episodes of the show, how Colby would have reacted if his and Teeter's fates were flipped, and his thoughts on reuniting with Sheridan on another show in the future. Screen Rant: Denim, it's great to get to chat with you. I admittedly came on the Yellowstone bandwagon late, but I love that I am on it now. I want to start by asking you just a general question about how it feels for you coming to the end of this mainline show after being with it for so many seasons. There's been so much talk of secrecy, not only about Kevin Costner's potential return, but how the show will wrap up as a whole. And as we saw in this week's episode, Colby also unfortunately died. When did you learn about that, and how secretive did you have to be about that from your castmates? I hope you get the chance to get characters like this, but hopefully not as many die like this, because this was a pretty heartbreaking one to watch. I'd love to know what it was like actually filming that sequence, because that is one where I'm sure there was a stuntman involved. But it's one where one wrong move, and then that's a very real death. So we obviously saw a lot of the ranchers and cowboys' reactions to it. But I'm curious, since Teeter and Colby were obviously the closest connection there, what do you think would go through Colby's mind if this situation was flipped? So a lot of people have talked about the redacted scripts that went out for this half of the season. I'm curious if you yourself know, though, anything about how your death is going to impact the rest of the Cowboys going into the rest of this season. Now that your time on the show has come to an end, as most characters are, since this is the final season of the mainline show, what is one of the biggest things you're going to miss about either your character or the Yellowstone universe as a whole? Well, I really hope that those other pearls get to have you reunite with some of your castmates on this, because like you said, the people have all been so amazing on this show. And with that said, I love how frequently Taylor reunites with cast members. I mean, James Jordan has been on pretty much every one of his projects, including the Landman cast. Of his other shows, what would be the one that you would be the most excited to get to join if Taylor reached out to you for that? Yellowstone chronicles the Dutton family, led by John Dutton, who controls the largest contiguous cattle ranch in the United States. Amid shifting alliances, unsolved murders, open wounds, and hard-earned respect, the ranch is in constant conflict with those it borders. An expanding town, an Indian reservation, and America's first national park. Yellowstone is co-created by Oscar-nominated screenwriter Taylor Sheridan, Wind River, Hell or High Water in Sicario, and John Linson. Executive producers include John Linson, Art Linson, Taylor Sheridan, Kevin Costner, David C. Glasser, Bob Yerry, Stephen Kay, Michael Friedman, Christina Voros, and Keith Cox. The series is distributed by Paramount Global Content Distribution. When Yellowstone Season 5 returned with all its dusty grit, gunslinging justice, and Montana-sized emotions, few characters represented the soul of the ranch quite like Colby, played with a grounded intensity by Denim Richards. Loyal, watchful, and often the bunkhouse's moral compass, Colby's storyline took a dramatic turn this season, one that's left fans wondering what's next, and how his fate could shift the future for the Dutton Cowboys. We sat down with Richards for a raw, reflective, and surprisingly philosophical look into the journey of his character, the bonds of cowboy brotherhood, and the visionary mind of Taylor Sheridan steering it all. You never really know what Taylor's up to. The thing with working on Yellowstone, Richards begins, leaning forward as though sharing a secret from the depths of the ranch, is that you never really know what Taylor Sheridan is up to. He writes in a way that feels like he's playing five-dimensional chess. Just when you think your character is safe, you get a script that throws you into the heart of chaos. Colby's arc in Season 5 took a surprising emotional detour. After barely surviving run-ins with rival ranchers in earlier seasons, many expected Colby's fate to stabilize. But instead, we saw him grappling with mounting tensions on the Dutton Ranch, especially as the loyalty lines blurred and war loomed both within and beyond the fences. There's this moment where Colby realizes the code he lives by might not protect him anymore. Richard says, his voice low. And that shakes him. They're not just cowboys. They're soldiers in a war they didn't start. One of the show's enduring strengths is the portrayal of the bunkhouse crew as more than just comic relief or rugged sidekicks. They're the eyes and ears of the ranch. They bleed for the brand. And Colby. He's always been the steady one, often bringing levity when things grow dark. But Season 5 strips some of that light away. Colby's always tried to stay grounded, to hold on to a bit of humanity in all this madness, Richards explains. But what happens when you're forced to make choices that go against your code? That's the central conflict he's facing. Without revealing too much, Taylor Sheridan is famously tight-lipped, even with his actors. Richards teases that Colby's Season 5 journey is less about physical survival and more about emotional and moral survival. This season, it's not the gunfights or the brawls that shake him. It's watching people he loves get pulled into the abyss and realizing he might be next. Richards reflects on one powerful scene shot in the cold Montana morning. There's a moment where Colby looks out across the ranch and sees it for what it is, not a sanctuary, but a battlefield, and it changes him. The bunkhouse will never be the same. When asked about the rest of the bunkhouse, Richards pauses, visibly emotional. We're a family. Off-screen, we're close. On-screen, those dynamics are complicated. Season 5 tests everyone. Relationships fracture. Loyalties are questioned. Fans have already speculated on what Colby's internal conflict could mean for his relationship with Teeter, the fiery, fearless ranch hand played by Jennifer Landon. Colby and Teeter? Man, Richard says with a wistful grin, they've got something real. But love on the Dutton Ranch comes with casualties. And Colby's fear isn't just losing her. It's becoming someone she doesn't recognize. The bunkhouse, once a place of raucous poker games and breakfast chaos, becomes quieter this season, Richards notes. There's a sense of mourning, not just for people we've lost, but for the simplicity we had before all this power struggle stuff took over. Taylor Sheridan is building an empire, but he still sees the heart. Taylor Sheridan, the mastermind behind Yellowstone and its growing universe of prequels and spin-offs, remains a central force in shaping the show's tone and soul. Richards has nothing but admiration for him. What Taylor's done, expanding this world with shows like 1883, 1923, and everything else, is unprecedented. He's building an empire. But even with all that, he never loses sight of the individual character journeys. According to Richards, Sheridan often surprises the cast by dropping profound philosophical insights during table reads. He once said to us, "Every cowboy is riding toward a grave. Some just make it a more beautiful ride." That stuck with me. I think it stuck with Colby too. Richards says Sheridan challenges every actor to dig deeper, to never play it safe. When I started, Colby was just a ranch hand. Now he's wrestling with the cost of loyalty, the trauma of survival, the fear of becoming someone hardened beyond recognition.